This is HBR News number 419. Elon's ex is unblockable. Lucy Letby murders babies. I think I pronounced that right. Weirdest decapitation case ever, where we discuss the news of the week and give it the Badger treatment. Hello everybody and welcome to Honey Badger Radio. My name is Brian. I'm joined by my lovely co-hosts Mike, Jay, and Dr. Randomcam. And this is the HBR News Show. Hannah is still out until, I think, September. So she just needs a little bit of recovery time. But you know what? That aside, we are here to talk to you about some news items and try to have some fun with the descent, the fall, as it were. So please stick around because it's going to be a good time. This week we're going to be talking about the news that Elon Musk is supposedly going to be removing the block button on his social media platform X. I'm going to try to get used to saying that. The case of baby murderer Lucy Letby. A mother found her son decapitated, and this story gets a lot weirder than that, and more, so stick around. It's going to be a good time. And be sure to join us afterwards for the patron-only show. I have two things. I think I've picked one, though. But I have two things I just want to share because they're so weird. Thanks, The Guardian. I always archive link if I can. I have this one from Ara Madawi, who we've probably done like a lot of after shows on. I swear I think this person isn't real because her takes are so insane. Like I think this is what was that fake SJW Twitter account that was always putting up really ridiculous stuff? You remember?
The Guardian?
No, not The Guardian. There was a Twitter that was run by someone, might have been Lawrence Fox, but
Tatiana McGrath.
Yeah, Tatiana McGrath, exactly. Yeah, I feel like Arwa Madawi is Tatiana McGrath, but writes for the Guardian because her takes are so strange. This one is, excluding trans women in women's chess makes you a pawn of the patriarchy. She put a pun in there. But I found one that's crazy. We could do that as a Patreon show, but I found one that I kind of like more. This is written by Humza Yusuf, who is clearly a Scotsman. And he says, misogynists like Andrew Tate hold sway over thousands of men and boys. Male leaders like me, must address that. So I feel like that might be more fun because of the shoe on head video that's been making the rounds. And she said, you know, they need a Andrew Tate on the left. So maybe Humza Yusuf is the guy. I don't know. So we'll figure out.
I don't know if a dude that sounds like a line of dialogue from Jar Jar Binks is going to be able to lead anything masculine.
Humza Yusuf.
As much as I would love to join in with these comedic shenanigans, but I have to return to the UK next week, and I don't want to get on this guy's bad side.
Yeah. Okay, just type your jokes into the chat, and we'll try to do our best to honor them.
Yes, there you go.
I cannot afford to risk pissing off either my own government or the US government, so I'm going to be as nice as possible. Fuck y'all. Fuck all of y'all and rape all of y'all.
You
and
Nazis.
Something Holocaust Nazis.
something Nazis. Anyway, so we'll probably go with one of those two. We'll let you guys decide. If you want to join us on the Patreon show, you have to become a Badger yourself by going to feedthebadger.com. $5 a month will get you into the Discord, where you'll be able to watch all of the additional content, and there is a lot of it, as well as join us in the chat if you give it higher levels, and you'll be able to see work before it goes out. I actually found a new video that I thought that Mike and Allison could do a thing on, and I forgot to mention it to you, Mike. It's something about Patty Power. Do you know what Patty Power is? It's some like gambling thing. But they're making a feminist case for like the England or the England Lionesses or the Irish, I don't know. It's some football team, not like kicking the ball around kind of team. And I guess there's misogyny in sports that women play in UK, and that's not allowed.
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, I don't know. It's a weird video. You guys haven't done Mate yet, have you? Mate. Have you guys done that? Anyway. So that's feedthebadger.com to start a subscription. $5 a month will get you into our Discord. And if you give it higher levels, you have more access. And there's lots of stuff going on in the Discord. It is a good community. So please consider becoming a member. And if you don't want to wake up one morning to find out that we've been yeeted from the internet, go to badgerfeed.com or honeybadgerradio.com. That is where all of our content lives. Real quick shout out to the Rumble Gang. And I hope that, you guys are doing well over there. Let me drop some Doge emojis into the Rumble chat because the Rumble chat allows animated emojis. So I'm dropping some in there. All right. So with all that out of the way, let's get into today's stories. We have a follow-up. So Mike J, that's you, I think.
Yes, I do believe it is. So yeah, this is actually quite a long one. This was from, let's see, 2021. I believe the beginning of 2021. At least that's when the initial story happened.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we caught wind of this till a month or two later. But this is an update on that. So how everything began was in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, February 2nd, 2021. The FBI executed a raid on 55-year-old David Huber under the suspicion that he in fact had on his computer some child.
Yeah.
And it was never revealed why they suspected this or if he did indeed possess the aforementioned things. But as they were executing this raid, he opened fire on them. Ended up killing 2 FBI agents. It was I do believe the most FBI agents killed since like 2008.
Wow.
And he barricaded himself in there, exchanged gunfire with the FBI agents, and supposedly killed himself afterwards. Now, fast forward to the story we covered. It was very interesting because the FBI was demanding that anybody, all of the news outlets, because, kind of hard to start a gunfight in Florida without every news outlet in the local area descending, trying to figure out who's got the scoop.
Mm-hmm.
But the FBI then demanded the IPs of anyone who accessed this story between a certain time frame. We're talking like 35 minutes. And they never said why. A lot of these news agencies made First Amendment arguments, and, rightfully so. Rightfully so.
Sure.
And that's really all we heard about this story for the longest time. Now, the update comes, 2.5 years later, that the FBI has announced that the investigation that they launched, that began with this guy and the shooting, has actually been successful. The investigation, which took over 2.5 years, exposed an online child and child trafficking ring that spanned the United States and Australia. In the U.S., there's been a total of 98 arrests, 65 indictments, and 45 convictions. And in Australia, 19 individuals have been arrested, 2 charged, and 13 children have been rescued.
Okay, so on the one hand, yes, perhaps that is another shiny nickel in the Alex Jones was right jar. Just a nickel. He didn't predict this particular instance of the trend, but he did predict the trend, and indeed yelled about it really rather adamantly for some time. I'm going to bring out one of my razors, one of my logical razors. Folks, when you let people get away with anything, they will eventually do anything. Supplementary clause, that includes CP. Hell, it probably includes pot-bellied hobgoblins, as far as it wouldn't go. It would surprise me more if it didn't. As long as we have certain groups of people who are actually in practice above the law, we are going to get insatiable megalomaniacs fucking children and filming it just because they can. And yes, it would be wonderful if we could go ahead and crack down on that sort of thing. Perhaps we should start with Hollywood and Silicon Valley and Washington and whatnot. But we won't. And that brings me to the other hand. Beware of the boogeyman that is dangled before you by the real boogeyman. By now, you'll all have heard the quote along the lines of, if you give the government the power to break the law in a time of crisis, they will create a crisis in order to break the law. Words to that effect. It's a quote that became quite pertinent in the last 3 years, but it has always been pertinent. Any accusation that makes your brain switch off before you can think any further is an accusation that can and will be weaponized by the government. And it won't be weaponized against Hollywood or against Silicon Valley or against Washington. It will be weaponized against you and me, dear fellow plebs. Did you hear about so-and-so? He was caught with CP on his computer. Oh shit, really? Well, fuck him. A crime as fucked up as that, the man's got to be guilty. I hope he gets raped to death in a dog pound, having been posted there accidentally or some shit. Fire and brimstone, rah, and so on. And you power off, and you think no further on the matter. Meanwhile, in reality, that particular CP in question was planted there as nonchalantly as a racist police officer might toss a baggie of crack into the back seat of an innocent Dindu's unregistered vehicle. Which of these myths is less mythical than the other, folks? Price is right rules. Closest to the money, but not a penny higher. Now, I'm not saying that this is what happened in this story. I already explained how these kinds of sickening crimes do indeed happen, especially among the untouchable class. And when they really do happen, you should be outraged. But you need to at least have a reverse gear on that outrage stick. You need to have a position you could shift into that makes you go, okay, what if this is a false accusation? What if this is just evidence planted on the victim? How possible is that? How likely is that? Because if you don't ask these questions, if you can't ask these questions because you're too outraged by the subject matter, then what you have there is a weakness that can and will be exploited by every propaganda merchant that can smell it in the water from hundreds of miles away, like the dead-eyed sharks that they are. But don't take my word for it. Ask some questions. Why not? Much like in Britain right now, the right to protest is coming under scrutiny among our leaders. And right on cue, you get the likes of Just Stop Oil and Extinction Rebellion demonstrating to everyone just how annoying protesters can be. It makes people think, yeah, maybe protesting is more of a nuisance than it's worth. Let's make protesting illegal. So the government makes protesting illegal. Meanwhile, they still refuse to ever arrest Just Stop Oil, and they will not hesitate to arrest you if you counter-protest against Just Stop Oil. In case you've been living under a rock, that is how it already works. When the government makes something illegal, that doesn't mean it's illegal for the elite. It only means it's illegal for you. As and when you're opposing what the government has in mind for you. I know you think that by chanting "kill the pedos," you think you're rebelling against the government. But seriously, it's not that simple. If you don't have your wits about you, you'll find yourself slipping into just another threat narrative that the government will use against you and only you. And before you know it, you're the pedo. And you've cut down every law in England in your attempt to catch the devil. And you will have no backup when the devil turns to face you. It all starts with the question, is this true? It's a simple question. And it's easy to ask yourself, is this true? If it's a normal, everyday, average Joe, it might not be true. If it's a kid fucking lizard person in the government, it's probably true. Let's take it from there. Please leave your comments in the comment section below.
I mean, I hope it's true. The thing is, I'd like for this to be true. We know that this stuff happens. We know it happens in the West. We know that it's very popular in the U.S. I think it's probably happening in any country where people are calling for open borders. I don't think that's an accident, right? The U.S. is calling for open borders. Europe is calling for open borders. It's everywhere. So this has probably happened. And I have no reason, well, I do have reason to doubt it. And that's the one thing that annoys me, is that it is the FBI. And I don't really trust the FBI. So, you know what I mean? It's like, the devil you know, the devil you don't know. I don't know. Mike, what do you think? Do you think, I mean, look, if this is real, then great. I'm all for protecting children and not pretending like this isn't happening. But, like, it's the FBI. What do you think?
I very much do want this to be real as well. Only because, yeah, just to hope something good happened in the world. And I mean, a few things that point to that, at least, is the FBI never misses a chance to show off.
That's true. That's true.
The FBI is also very highly compartmentalized.
Yeah.
So, you know, you do have factions, I should say, whose entire job seems to be, let's find out what absolutely minor crimes we can charge Trump with this week.
Mm-hmm.
But you still do have other components of it that, while they probably hate Trump too, at least seem to be out there justifying their budget.
Yeah, they might be like the guys that have different things they're assigned to, and this FBI team is doing something useful. I do have a sound for this. Hold on a second. I'm pretty sure I do. Somewhere I do have a sound for this. Maybe I don't. I did. But yeah, I don't know if there's any other thoughts on this. Like I said, I hope this is real. But there's stuff, and I know this stuff really does happen. So hopefully, what this means is that more people will see. I think
the fact that the trail led them to Australia.
Yeah, that's
and they had
true.
to start cooperating with Australian authorities who.
Yeah.
Wouldn't really seem to have a political dog in the fight here with U.S. politics.
That's true.
And the fact that, something came of it, children were rescued.
Yeah. Yeah, so, it's just,
I'm going to be hopeful on this one simply because I don't like the other end of it.
No, I don't. I'd rather this be true and that they caught someone that should be caught. So, but, that's good. I mean, let's just go with that. I'll just say that's good, assuming it's true. All right. So with that said, if there's no other thoughts, we're gonna move on. But this was a follow-up. We did cover this back in, that was like 2 years ago. Yeah. More than 2 years ago. Yeah. It's crazy. Let us know what you guys think about this one in the comments. We're gonna move on to the next story. This one was like, I only picked it because so many people were talking about it on Twitter. They were so bent out of shape, and I mean, I think there's a rational way to discuss it, so maybe we can do that. I don't know. I mean, I'm spitballing. But before we get into this one, I should read the super chats and super chows. So, first I got a super chow from Meredith G. Thank you, Meredith. And she says, for $5, HBR News number 419. The rumor is Musk, in his bid to make Twitter profitably, want to prevent users from blocking ads. Funny how when James Woods pointed this out, Musk blocked him. So it's kind of like good timing because we're about to talk about the Elon Musk thing. And then I got a super chat from Dermloft. He gives us €5, but he doesn't include any comments. So Dermloft, if you wanted to add a message to this, just tag @Badger Livestreams, all one word. You should see my post I'm posting in the live chat, and tell me what it is you wanted to say. So thank you, Meredith Top G. All right, Mike J, let's talk about X.
So I'm gonna begin with a little bit of an aside here. I don't know if anyone listening, anyone here played Fallout 4. And I promise I'm going somewhere with this. Wasn't my favorite Fallout game by a long stretch. I like some of the improvements. But there's one thing that they added where there's no real karma system anymore. It's just what your companions think about you. And sometimes when you do especially like heinous things, you get a little pop-up that says like, oh, this companion didn't like that, or that companion didn't like that. And sometimes if you really, really fuck things up, you get a little pop-up that says everybody disliked that. And that's kind of been the response to Elon Musk on this.
Yeah.
So Elon Musk has announced that soon X, the company formerly known as Twitter, will be removing the option to block users. Musk said in a statement on the platform, quote, "Block is going to be deleted as a feature, except for DMs." And then a follow-up tweet was, "It makes no sense." Users on all sides of the political spectrum have called this a bad idea and acknowledge the usefulness of the block feature. Aside from poor user reactions, the removal of the block function may also see X being removed from places such as the Apple Store, as the block feature is mandatory for social media apps to be allowed on their platform. Musk has yet to comment further.
Do you know, in my 14 years on Twitter, I have never blocked anyone. For the first few years, I was in total obscurity, so I didn't even need to block anyone. I used this special feature that Twitter has always had. It's called never checking your notifications. Like, this entire sphere of argument exists within that little bell icon at the top that you'll insist on clicking whenever there's a number next to it between 1 and 20 plus. Did you know you don't have to click on that bell icon at all? I literally didn't know that whole bell universe existed for the first 5 years that I was on Twitter. So there's your first option. Actually not giving a shit. That was always allowed. But eventually, I did, of course, discover the notifications tab, and that you can actually interact with people on Twitter. It was a dark day for me, and it has only seen darker days. But even so, I've still never felt the need to block anyone. Because for as long as I can remember, there has been the mute button. The biggest pro and the biggest con of the mute button is that it's not as final as the block button. It's like a stealth block button. When you block someone, they're treated to the "this user has blocked you" screen, and so they screenshot it and they tweet it to everyone and go, "Oh, look who's blocked me now! Can't take the heat, eh? Pussy, cow, pussy, air horn, fucking gif, whatever." Whereas if you just mute someone, they're essentially blocked, but they don't know they're blocked. And this is the worst possible nightmare for brain-dead trolls who are just trying to get under your skin. They keep trying to get your attention, but they never will. And that is so much sweeter than giving them the satisfaction of getting that block screen. You've placed them in the oubliette of your digital palace, where all they can do is yell into the void, never getting your attention, never getting near your skin, let alone under it, until they inevitably get bored and stop even trying. It's perfect. It's the best way to deal with a scammer. You waste as much of their time as possible instead of them ever getting to waste any of your time, let alone your money. And time is money. So I don't really understand what the block function achieves that isn't achieved as much and better by the mute button. I suppose a blocked account can't even interact with your post or the other people in the thread, whereas a muted person can. But that's just passing the same system down a level. If you can be bothered arguing with this scrub in a Twitter thread, fill your boots, mate. But if you're sick of them as well, then join the mute club. Click the mute button. Out of sight, out of mind. If you don't want to read something, click the button that makes you not have to read it. The only extra function the block button has is it makes other people not have to read it either, if it's on one of your tweets. Which is a form of censorship, and that's fine. You can censor whatever you like on your own Twitter feeds, and well, all right, I guess you can't anymore. That's what this story is about. On X, formerly Twitter, no one can censor you anymore, except Elon himself, of course.
Yeah.
Macarena, or whatever her name is. But like I said, as long as the mute button is still there, I don't see what the problem is. What are you getting from the block button that you don't get from the mute button, other than the extension of censorship from your own eyes to the eyes of others? Honest question, but perhaps leave your thoughts in the comments below, or maybe we could discuss it here on this show where we discuss things.
Well, we could do both.
So I've heard an argument. Keep in mind, I don't have a dog in this fight. I don't use Twitter. So this is simply an argument I have heard from the proponents of the block button. And it goes along the lines of something like this. Yes, I've muted them. Yes, I can't see what they're saying about me, but they're still saying things out there, and they're still replying to my tweets, and other people are going to see what they're saying. The block cuts that off at the knees. You can't respond to any of my tweets. I don't want any of my followers to see what you're saying, and I don't want these reply guys out there using me to farm clout. Like, I'm sure everyone remembers, like, the top 5 or top 6 Trump reply guys. You know, you had the Krasensteins, New York Dad Defiant.
I wasn't on Twitter at that time.
I wasn't either, but you'd always see these guys.
What about leprous Eric Clapton? I don't remember his name.
AIDS
but...
Clapton, Teeterich.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, something Teeterich, who, by the way, do you know what I learned? Did you know his daughter is more famous than he is?
No, I just know she's
Katie. She's Katie Teeterich. Oh, she's the one behind Awkward Zombie.
Oh, okay.
It's like, wow, when you're well known for being a guy that replies to every one of Donald Trump's tweets, and your daughter's known for being a rather talented comic artist.
Yeah.
You know, you've kind of fucked up in life when that happens. But all these guys would do is just sit there and just frantically spam the F5 button, waiting for a new Donald Trump tweet.
Pathetic.
And when they got blocked, they just absolutely snapped. Like, what? You can't do that. You can't block me. This is my livelihood. Farming clout off of you is my job. And these are the kind of people that won't make an alt account to continue this because they want as much clout on their main account as humanly possible.
Yeah. I mean, I've never blocked anyone either.
That's the argument, at least.
I mean, you don't have a dog in this race, but do you think that's decent? I saw people that didn't like that, and I thought the same thing that Mike did. Like, first of all, I only recently got back on Twitter, only because I wanted to use it to promote the gaming channel. By the way, follow me at Badger Arcade, and the gaming channel is Honey Badger Arcade. Follow me there. Anyway, good stuff coming. But even before, when I had my old Doge in Charge account, I never blocked anyone. Granted, I wasn't like big, but there were definitely, I did have my trolls, you know. I had I don't know, what was it, Tekla, and I forget the guy's name. He had a podcast or something. But they were male feminists, you know, that were trolling me, but I didn't care. Like, I just, what's the saying? Close your eyes, nigga. Like, just I just didn't. But I never even muted anyone. I didn't even like know it was an option, and I didn't really care. So maybe I'm wrong, but I don't see the big deal either. So, you know, in my opinion, I'm you know, indifferent. Maybe like what Elon Musk is hoping for is that people will be more likely to engage in conversation instead of just blocking someone and walking away. But maybe that's
the retort to that I've heard is, what type of conversation are you going to have with what is clearly a bot?
Yeah.
What type of conversation are you going to have from someone clearly trying to scam you?
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing proponents of the block button have said. Like, some people just, there is no discussion that's going to be had there because you're talking to Chat GPT.
Yeah, perhaps. I mean, I'm not, you know, I think actually Chat GPT can be convinced. I think these are humans that are just so ideologically possessed that you can't hope to even get them to begin to see your side. But I do know what you mean.
They're a bot.
Yeah, but I'm saying Chat GPT is actually more flexible, more open-minded, to put it that way, than like, you know, AIDS Clapton. But in my opinion, I don't think it's a big deal. I think that that's what Elon Musk's goal is. We'll see how it pans out. Again, hasn't happened yet. I don't see why you couldn't mute people instead, but whatever. I still think that, you know, actually I was going to say, I wish, now that I'm doing this, I wish I had called this press X to doubt instead of like Elon's X is unblockable, because press X is doubt is a funny meme to me, and that could have been, I don't know how it would fit in, but I think there's a way to press X to doubt.
There's something there that needs a little more workshopping, but there's something there.
It's got legs on it. I'm saying it's got legs on it. It could just do a little bit of workshopping, like you said. But anyway, let us know.
The only other thing I gotta say is,
yeah,
I have looked it up, and yeah, no, it is true. This is like something Email Strong pointed out, that if they did remove the block feature, it would get removed from the Apple Store. I think it would get removed from possibly Google Play as well.
Android,
and the other thing is, would also, and this one's just, I think, I have not confirmed this, but I think it would also run into problems in Europe as well, because they've got all sorts of different laws over there. So
is it Title 13 or something like that?
Even if you're the biggest like free speech proponent, this would really, this would really cripple Twitter's ability to be available.
Mm-hmm.
So I think ultimately, for those reasons, and maybe those reasons alone, Musk is going to walk this one back.
Yeah. I'm like I said, personally, I would never block anyone. I'm all about the discourse, as it were, but I get that people, they have limits. I mean, I think that it doesn't matter where you are. I think people have limits, but I have a super chow and a super chat, so I'm gonna read those. And I found that sound that I wanted to play. This is for the, where is it? I thought I had it. Wait, hold on. It is here. Hold on. Where did I put it? I had it. Oh yeah, here it is. This is for the FBI raid that I heard about.
You were the clock that was ticking in my home. Changed my state of mind.
Ladies and gentlemen,
love so hard to find.
We got him.
All right. Anyway, that's a funny meme. At least it was in 2017. when I was on chemotherapy and then recovering from surgery, I spent a lot of time in bed recovering, and I would watch YouTube, and YouTube videos would get boring, like watching the stuff that I usually watch. So I found this channel. It's no longer, it doesn't exist anymore, but it was basically just nothing but memes, and it was so much fun. I loved watching it. I missed that channel, H4H4, I think it was called. It's not to play on the Ethan Klein thing. Anyway, so let's do the Super Chows. This one is from Zeranx, and he gives us $5 and says, I was disappointed when I saw Styx Hexenhammer made the statement about blocking people from interacting with his audience. It basically allows users to create echo chambers. Tim Pool's response to his address being posted is negated, as people can do the same thing every time he trends or he is attached to a hashtag. I've never seen anyone post. I think that posting somebody's address or a picture of their house, I think that's fucking crazy. Like, you remember that viral video of the woman on the plane and she's leaving and she's saying that mother effer right there ain't real or is not real, and it was viral. Like, I thought it was just like a weird moment. I didn't think anything of it. I said, well, I wonder what she saw. I figured we never found out. And then, like, the internet became so interested that they, like, tracked her down. They found out her real name. They found out where she lived. They took a picture of her house. I was like, you guys are crazy. Yeah, I mean, like,
it's like way to enforce this unwarranted paranoia this lady already has.
Yeah, I know. I mean, she's already pretty sure she was sitting next to a demon or something.
She's going to feel completely vindicated in everything she's done now.
I mean, it's just like.
And also, what it turned out was because they released the body cam footage of the officers that responded the other day.
Yeah.
It was some like weird Arab guy who seemed maybe autistic.
Yeah, sure. Probably. I mean, again, so what? I mean, I think shit like that happens every day, all over the world, all the time. Like, why do people, I just, just relax. Let's just take a chill pill. Let's leave people alone. I agree with that. But I think it's like shit like that makes the block button look appealing to some people. So, I don't know. I mean, anyway, I've never done it. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments. I did get a super chat from Dermloft again for €2, and he says, or she says, love you guys. Thank you for caring. Well, thank you, Dermloft. Really appreciate it. Okay, so thanks for the super chats. Let's move on to the next story. We're making good progress here. So, you may have heard of Lucy Letby. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I think I have a picture here. That is...
it's actually Letby.
Letby?
Lucy Letby.
Okay, Lucy Letby.
We don't fucking...
I have no idea how you say it.
It's Letby.
Letby.
I'm being humorous.
It is funny. Yeah, no, it is humorous. Lucy Letby has been found guilty of murdering 7 babies and attempting to murder 6 others while she worked in a neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital in Cheshire. It has been uncovered that hospital executives failed to investigate, telling concerned hospital staff to stop emailing about Letby. The hospital's top manager even demanded the doctors to write an apology to Letby for these allegations. Before June of 2015, there were about 2 or 3 baby deaths a year on the neonatal unit at the Countess of Chester Hospital. But then in June, 3 babies died in the span of 2 weeks. According to the BBC, quote, the deaths were unexpected, so Stephen Brary, the lead consultant of the neonatal unit, called a meeting with the unit manager, Arian Powell, and the hospital's director of nursing, Alison Kelly, end quote. Dr. Brary says, quote, we tried to be as thorough as possible. A staffing analysis revealed that Lucy Letby had been on duty for all 3 of these deaths. I think I can remember saying, oh no, it can't be Lucy, not nice Lucy, he says. But then 2 more babies died, Letby being on shift for both of them. While Dr. Brary's suspicions that Letby was harming babies grew, the unit manager found the deaths unfortunate and probably just a coincidence. By June of 2016, more babies had died. Some had collapsed, and senior doctors wanted to bring in the police. Senior management say, quote, the head of corporate affairs and legal services, Stephen Cross, warned that calling the police would be a catastrophe for the hospital and would turn the neonatal unit into a crime scene, end quote. And the staff were told to stop emailing about Lucy Letby. Letby turned the tables. taking out a grievance on her accusers. Dr. Brary was forced to apologize for his allegations and bullying, no kidding guys, and accused of behaving unprofessionally. He says he felt managers were trying to, quote, engineer some sort of narrative, end quote, that would mean that they did not have to go to the police. He says now, quote, if you want to call that a cover-up, then that's a cover-up, end quote. Dr. Brary and his colleagues finally went to the Cheshire Police a couple weeks later. They launched a criminal investigation with Dr. Brary's help. While going through historic medical records, he found the blood work for one of the babies from 2015 that shows the baby had been poisoned by insulin. 3 months later, Letby was arrested. It has come out that Letby injected babies with insulin, air, or milk. From the BBC, Dr. Brary says hospital managers had been secretive and judgmental throughout the period leading up to the nurse's arrest. There was no credibility given to our opinions, and from January of 2017, it was intimidating and bullying to a certain extent, he tells BBC News. It just all struck me as the opposite of a hospital you'd expect to be working in, where there's a safe culture and people feel confident in speaking out. Since Letby left the hospital's neonatal unit, there has been only one death in the last 7 years.
There are several sectors of service in the UK that are not just granted privileges, but are positively worshipped by those who would adhere to the capricious pseudo-religious demands of the state. And they are nurses, teachers, and the police. Now, the police are something of a wild card, of course, when people want to break lockdown guidelines to protest against the police on account of a criminal having an overdose on another continent. Then by all means, let us demonize the police so that we don't have to obey these rules that everyone else, for some reason, has to obey. But when some English chick in London gets abducted and murdered by a policeman, I'm sure you can all remember who it is I'm talking about, though you don't have to remember her name. And that all happens during and under the guise of lockdown guidelines. Suddenly, it's not the police who are the problem, it's the men. And we get big, serious vigils in eerie candlelight commemorating the tragedy. It's not that we gave too much power to the police, it's that we gave too much power to the men. And so we should somehow continue to give all this power to the police without giving it to men. We'll work it out somehow. We'll make sure that everyone in the police is women, and then we'll see how that goes. And this is why it's so impossible to apply agency to those other two sectors of service, nurses and teachers. Nurses and teachers would never do anything wrong. All they do is suffer thanklessly at the hands of a misogynistic society. Oh, pardon me, a man is trying to become a nurse or a teacher. Kablam! That guy was a paedophile. He was coming right for us. Thin out their numbers, etc. You may have noticed during that debacle we call the pandemic, while most of us were being imprisoned and dehumanized, who among us were being revered and worshipped as, frankly, superhumans, while they did nothing but strap useless muzzles on children and dance in unison to some cringe disco song on fucking TikTok? Nurses and teachers. You plebs have to do everything we tell you because the poor defenseless nurses and teachers are having such a hard time. Which two occupations are most populated and dominated by women, you ask? Why would you even ask that question? What are you, a misogynist? Coincidences are just coincidences, unless and until we tell you they are not. And to drag my tangent, kicking and screaming back to the story in question, you might ask yourself, how could a medical professional possibly get away with this? How could someone entrusted by the state to keep children alive possibly find herself killing those children, thinking she could get away with killing those children, and getting away with it for longer than anyone feasibly should? Well, maybe some people really are above the law. Politicians are miles above the law. The immediate relatives of crime families are nautical leagues above the law. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. You know who else is above the law? Not miles above it, like the lizard people. I mean, who's just about able to poke their heads and their breathing apparatus above the law? Women. Ladies and gentlemen, and I don't mean individual women, I mean the collective known as women. The reason you hear about nurses killing more babies than doctors kill, teachers raping more students than janitors rape, is because these are sectors of human beings dominated by women. And women can do whatever the hell they like as long as they raise their fists in unison with the uniparty. In summary, fuck nurses, fuck teachers. Go ahead and topple yourself off of your high horse and get back to work, you scum. This is how you prevent pit bulls from mauling children to death, and it's how you prevent nurses from, well, mauling children to death. You are not better than us. You are not some ethereal angels that we somehow don't deserve. You are animals. And if you shit on our equilibrium, we will rub your noses in your shit. It is the only way. The more you know.
I feel a quote from Norm Macdonald coming on to paraphrase. Now, this might strike some viewers as harsh, but I believe pretty much everyone involved in this story should die. And like, I know the write-up itself didn't contain this, but apparently when they like raided her house, when there were enough people to finally give a shit about this, they found an absolutely jumbled mess of schizobabble in one of her diaries where she pretty much confessed to everything.
Wow.
And saying things like, I'm an evil person, I did this, I am the sole one responsible for this, I killed them on purpose because I'm not good enough. And she basically bemoaned and lamented the fact that she'll never have children, she'll never marry, she'll never know what it's like to have a family. And I mean, apparently these were all over the house. Like written on Post-it notes, written on just notes in her handbag, in her garage, all over the place.
Wow. It's dark. I am one of these men's issues advocates that does feel as though the word gynocentrism is overused. But I think in this case, it seems apt, or at least a kind of blind favoritism because they think that Miss Letby is nice and she's not hard on the, she's easy on the eyes and all of that, so they don't think that they could do something so monstrous. But I do think that it applies in this case. Normally I find that's overused, but I do think it applies in this case. Another thing I was thinking about is there is a bit of a relationship between this story and the CP guy. I wonder if some of this happens because we have so little regard for the lives of children that, women largely, they murder their babies, they throw them in dumpsters, they flush them down toilets, they apparently kill them in hospitals. Not something that usually happens with men. I find that it seems that women are more likely to do these things, and they're working in professions where they're supposed to, I assume, take an oath on doing no harm, but they will kill babies. I'm not saying this is common. Obviously, it's not. This is a story because it's exceptional. But I have to ask. Like, you know, do we just not care about children? Do we not care about the unborn? I mean, are we supposed to care about women so much that we put them above everybody else? Because it seems like we do. You know, when they were above men, that was bad enough, but now they're above men and children, it seems. So I don't know. But I think the treatment of this woman by her colleagues at the hospital and basically anybody else, where they basically wanted to wait, or they couldn't have suspected her. I mean, part of it, probably she was charming or whatever. But if she was obviously not well, based on what Mike J just said, I think there were probably signs. There were probably red flags, and they didn't notice. So
and that whole line, oh god, that one just makes my piss absolutely boil. The head of corporate affairs or whatever, saying that well, we warned that calling the police would be a catastrophe for the hospital.
Yeah,
and it would turn the neonatal unit into a crime scene. It's like, dude, you've had how many babies die? It already is a crime scene, motherfucker.
I know, and that's what I'm saying. What the hell is going on? I mean, but I think there's probably other things at work. There probably is a kind of let's protect the NHS, because you know it's what people. I assume that's the NHS. I don't know how things work in the UK, but I assume it's part of that. So there's also part of that, but. I don't know, man. This is crazy. Crazy story. So next time somebody tells you women are better caregivers than men, I mean, it was a man at the end of the day that had to risk his career to do something about this and like speak out. So let us know what you guys think about this tragic story in the comments. I don't have any more super chats or super chows, so I guess we'll go on to the final story. No Rumble rants either. So let us know what you guys think. This one is weird, okay? I'm gonna warn you. When I gave it to Lindsay and she was like, I can't follow this because it starts off pretty awful, but then it gets strange. So, all right, a Nevada mother discovered her son's decapitated body after he was allegedly murdered by his girlfriend. Jonathan James Wilmette, 47. So the son is 47. So we're looking at, you know, grown ass man. Was found on August 7th. Police have not located his head. According to the New York Post, Willette's 45-year-old girlfriend, Devin Michaels, I think that's the woman pictured here. Gonna double check. Yes, it is. Was arrested and booked on Tuesday on one count of open murder. They have 2 daughters together, even though Devin Michaels is married to Willette's adult son. So this woman killed the father of her husband, and the father was a boyfriend to her.
That's a little weird.
It's a little weird. So you guys follow that? Because Lindsay was like, wait, what's going on? And I'm like, okay, wait. So the man who was murdered has a son. The son's wife is the person who killed him, but was also dating him. Okay? So she was basically like screwing a father and a son. But she was married to the son and murdered the father. Don't stick your dick in crazy, folks. That husband, the victim's son, says the marriage is not typical.
That is putting it lightly.
Yeah, right. And, quote, to help with Devin's medical issues, end quote. Michaels told investigators that her boyfriend was, quote, abusive to her, end quote, and made a child take showers in front of him. So this is supposedly the rationale behind her decapitating him, that she's a victim. From the New York Post, Devin stated that she did not want to kill Jonathan and only wanted to hurt him enough that he would have to go to the hospital because she wanted him out of the way so she could figure out what she could do with her children.
Are you the Hulk woman? I just wanted to like hurt him, and then his head fell off.
Yeah, right.
What the fuck, lady?
Yeah, so that's the story. I don't know what the lesson is. I guess don't have sex with your son's wife because she might go crazy.
Don't let it near your neck.
Yeah, right.
In the words of the Wu-Tang Clan.
In the words of the Wu-Tang Clan, yeah. Well, anyway.
I'm glad that we like both zoomed in on the Wu-Tang there.
Yeah, to protect your neck. I don't know if Mike followed like all of this weirdness, but yeah, that's the story. Just and again, I had to. I said because Lindsay was like, "What is going?" I was like, "Okay, let's draw up a graph because we need to figure out where the connections are at, right?" But it is funny that I think she's going to see time. She is facing murder charges, but she did try to claim that she was being abused, and that justifies decapitation. So Mike is smoking. Okay, all right, that's fine. So I guess like it's okay if we just wrap it up here because I don't have any more comments. I think the story's funny. That I don't know what
funny
else
for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, funny for the wrong reasons for sure. Like, so the suspected killer is the victim's son's wife. Yes, it is. So the man, look, dads, just stay out of your son's love life. Seriously, that's already strange. In my opinion, you shouldn't be doing that. Look, she's not that hot. I hate to break it to you, fellas, but it's not worth that. That's for one. That's like aside from the fact that she's apparently, willing to be a murderer. But on top of that, she is a murderer, or she was willing to. I mean, what do you think she did when she said, "I just wanted to hurt him," but she ended up decapitating? Like, what was she? Was she running around with a guillotine? What did she have an axe? Like, how do you do that? Did she like drive and have him like hanging out the rear like passenger side window, and she drove into like a pole? Like, what happened? Like, how do you decapitate someone as a woman? I thought that women didn't have the strength to harm men that much. How did she manage that? Anyway, so I got a super chow from Zaranks for $5. And he says, for $5, "This isn't normal, but was Florence Nightingale not mentioned? I had a phone call, so I might have missed it. There's some weird stories around Mother Teresa, too. The fact that we reduce women's capacity for evil, even when we tell stories of evil women, shows we don't want to know." Yeah, it's true. Equally as true as women poop pellets, that's how we know Amber Heard could blame the dog. Only crazy women can kill babies and regular people. Clearly they're on testosterone treatments or something. Well, I don't know. Woo! Was he sticking his head out? You saw that movie Hereditary, where the little girl's head comes off? It's no.
I don't think I have.
No, you don't want to see it. It's one of those, that guy's movies are so fucking dark. Like, they're dark. There's no light at the end of the tunnel in those movies. They're very, very, very.
These are like the Saw movies that are just famous for being overly grotesque and not much more.
It is. It's like in terms of like gore. There's some gore in it, but I think it's more like the tone of that movie, like where it's kind of hopeless. Like there's, you want someone to like do something to turn things around, but it just doesn't happen. Things just get worse and worse, and then it ends, and you're like, what the hell was the point of that? Midsommar, it's the same director. He directed Midsommar. Do you see Midsommar?
No, I haven't.
Oh man, Midsommar's nightmare fuel. If you're a man, holy shit. Man,
I got enough problems in my life, Brian.
I know. Well, the Wicker Man, not the Nicolas Cage one. But
I only know the Nicolas Cage one. I only know that because of the scene where he knocks a lady out wearing a bear suit.
Oh yeah, he beats up the person in the bear suit.
And then the bees. They're in my mask.
Yeah, they're in my eyes. No, the Wicker Man is it's from the 70s. I think Christopher Lee is in it, or I think it's Christopher Lee. Very dark movie. It was like, there was a nihilistic period, and I don't think it's actually let up in terms of our media. But anyway, thank you, Zeranx, for the super chow. I guess Mike is still smoking. It's cool. We're going to call it right here. This was like an hour long. I'm happy with that.
Wow.
I do have to pick up the wife. Yeah, I know. I had another story, but apparently it was really old, but I didn't know about it. And then there was something else that I thought about mentioning, but I can't remember it now, so it must not have been that important. But we're gonna go into the patron show, and we're gonna look at. I think I'm gonna look at this one, Humza Yusuf. I'm gonna give Arda Modawi a break, because I feel like every time we do a Guardian piece, it's her, because she's always got like the most ridiculous takes. So
I mean, one thing I have noticed, like, just because we have a little time to kill, so I'm gonna make an aside here.
Okay.
Something I have noticed is a lot of websites. I've been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 recently.
Uh-huh.
And I find myself like Googling crap every 10 minutes in the game just because I'm like, is this item going to be used later? What level do I unlock this? What should I take for this level or whatever? And I notice a lot of the articles are very clearly written by ChatGPT.
Oh, really?
Because they're written like a story, and it's like, I'm here to read an article, not like, you're mentioning all of these useless things. It's like, for this, you want to visit Asterion, your clever and sarcastic vampire companion. It's like, no human writes like that.
Whoa, yeah, that's weird. Well, there is a writer's strike going on. Maybe ChatGPT will be better.
And it's like, seriously, you boot up ChatGPT, you tell them what the basic thrust of it is, you do a couple of iterations, editorialize it a little bit, go generate a random image of an Indian-looking guy, again, randomly generate a name, and congratulations, you've got an article.
Yep.
Without any of that pesky journalism or actual writing.
I've actually considered having ChatGPT do write-ups so that you guys don't have to. I don't know how well it would do.
Well, the thing is, you've got to train it through a few iterations. You've got to keep enforcing, like, okay, this is what I like, this is what I don't like, and then you've also got to you've got to trim down what it says most of the time, because even if it spits out something good, it's usually going to either be a little bit too long, or it's going to start meandering, or it's going to start repeating itself.
Yeah. Have you done this already, I assume?
Oh, I've messed with all manner of AI just to see what it'll do. Like, one of the things I really like it for is if I'm gonna play any tabletop games and I need like character art and I don't want to just go find generic dwarf fighter image.jpg on Google. I can tell it like, generate dwarf armor, brown hair, green eyes, large sword. No, larger sword. Bigger than that even. Twice that size. No horse. Quit adding a horse. Why are you adding a horse? And after the dozenth or so time, you end up with something pretty good.
ChatGPT does this?
Well, this is just another AI. I'm just using generic AI. Like, there's a few sides to it. There's the one that can like clone and reproduce voices. I believe that's strictly under the tag 11 Labs. I think that they're the company behind that.
Yeah.
They used to let you do a lot of stuff. Now you gotta like go through Google, and it's fairly limited unless you start paying for it. Then you've got, the ChatGPT for writing, like writing articles, writing stories, writing from someone's perspective. Being like, hey, ChatGPT, my grandmother used to get me to sleep at night by reading Windows activation keys, specifically for Windows 10 that are still working in August 2022 of the year 2023. Could you pretend to be my grandma reading me a bedtime story?
Mm-hmm.
And it will give you Windows activation keys, and most of them work. That's the scary part. And then there's stuff like Midjourney, or one that I've been using recently that requires only just a Google sign up, called artflow.ai. And it generates some really good stuff, I gotta say. But even with that, though, like, sometimes I find myself having to go in especially with the art ones, and
Yeah.
fix certain things with like Photoshop. Like, boy, howdy, does it like to make some wonky eyes.
Oh yeah, sure.
But it usually
Sure.
gets one good enough that you can clone that one, flip it, and layer it onto the other one in such a way that it's like, oh, now you've got two decently looking eyes. They're just mirrored, but that doesn't usually look too bad, so you can get away with that.
All right. Well, that's good to know. I don't know, man. I'm like still really hesitant about messing around with that. But about Baldur's Gate 3, I will ask you this because and I'm gonna tell you guys since we do have a little extra time. On the gaming channel, Honey Badger Arcade, I wanted to run or play a D&D game, but like make a full party and make them all members of Honey Badger Radio, as many as the game would allow me. I didn't buy Baldur's Gate 3 yet because it's not really in the budget unless I know I'm going to use it for that purpose. But I learned that the only way you could do that is if you are playing, like, you can't manage the party yourself. You'd have to.
The way it works is you'd have to do a co-op game with everyone bringing in their own player character.
Yeah, they'd all have their character and their own game and their own connection. And what I want to do at this point doesn't serve that unless the developers make some changes down the line. So what I am doing in the meantime, because I can't afford Baldur's Gate anyway at this point, is I do have Neverwinter Nights 2, which I've never played because I got it like
Great
as
game.
a
Great
gift.
game.
Yeah, so and I do have a thing for Neverwinter Nights 2 that lets me build my own custom party. I don't remember how many members are in it. I'm going to look into it, but I will be doing that. We're going to do character creation on Saturday, 1 p.m. Eastern. Come to Honey Badger Arcade. Help me build the characters if you like. And
So
at the very least,
what are
I'll
we
do
thinking?
Well, I
What are we
mean,
thinking? Like who's who?
well,
Who's gonna be
I
what?
definitely got to do Hannah, Allison, and Karen at least, and
Okay,
myself.
Hannah.
I know what classes
cleric?
they're going to be. Nope. Hannah's going to be a warlock because she's Wiccan. She's got the Wiccan thing going on.
She's made a pact that sacrificed all of her natural bodily immunities.
Yeah, so she's going to have a low constitution, and she's going to be a warlock. Karen is going to be a barbarian with berserker, like a berserker build, basically. For the Rant Zerker, that's what Karen is. And in Allison, I'm like torn between a ranger because she's got the animal thing going on, or a paladin because she's kind of like,
Let me give you a third option.
All right.
Bard.
No, that's Mike.
Oh,
That's
okay,
Random
yeah,
Cam.
that
Random
fits
Cam's
too
the
bad.
bard.
I have to wonder, right? in terms of the medieval meta, was there really such thing as a bard?
You mean a minstrel?
Who just wandered around carrying a guitar, singing, and he was just that was just as viable an occupation as someone who defeats evil for a living.
The bard is usually more like a master of
a jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades. Thank you.
Like a paladin, right? But not as good.
Well, no. I mean, bards are.
They have no code they have to live by. They kind of just do their own thing. They're like rock stars that can also make fun of you so bad you explode.
Yeah, in the game, I would see it as kind of like a support role. Like I said, he plays music. It makes everybody feel good.
But it's not like a medic. It's not like he can actually help anyone.
That's what
except in terms of morality.
Yeah.
But here's the song. I know there's a dragon trying to fucking eat your ass, but here's the song.
That reminds me. I feel a song coming on.
In a medieval
full of
context.
magic.
I mean,
but bards don't have magic.
Yes, they do.
There's nothing magic about playing a guitar and singing a song.
It made me hit the dragon harder, okay? It happened.
It doesn't have to be a guitar. It could be a flute. It could be a drum. It could be a clarinet.
It could be a performance. It could be juggling.
Yep, it could be juggling.
As a musician, I appreciate how much you appreciate musicians.
Yes.
But we're really not that important. Like, when it comes to an actual war, you can ditch us.
Oh, wait a minute.
And go with, the tanks and the barbarians and the healers and people who actually matter.
I mean, I don't know. Like,
would you rather go into battle with tanks, though, or would you rather go into battle with tanks while Sabaton is playing?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we'll make it work. You saw what was it? Mad Max Fury Road. The guy with the flamethrower guitar, the guy on the that guy. He was boosting the shit out of. He boosted my morale, and I wasn't even there. I
remember
watching
that was
guy,
like when the guitar started spitting fire.
Day. Yeah,
everyone in the theater was like, "Fuck yeah!" It was the coolest thing to see in the theater.
And so that's a bar. Anyway,
and it works in a fantasy reality such as in the movies.
It's fun.
In actual reality, no one really gives a fuck about bards.
Yeah, but
the more of us bards who admit that, the sooner, the better. Like, fuck bards. Bards are going to be useless in the post-apocalypse.
He's going to be a very pessimistic bard.
Yes.
I'm going to play him.
I've always looked up like the real life equivalent of bards would be like, oh, that's the celebrity. That's the celebrity we have working for us who's really charismatic, who's the face, who's the guy that does all the talking because, the guy that's good at killing things is great at killing things, but he's just not a people person. He's a killing people person. Yeah. And the bard also has that ability, like, oh crap, we're really stumped, and he's always like, don't worry, I know a guy who knows a guy who met a guy who can help us out.
Yeah, he's gonna be like the guy from U2. That's
and when all else fails, they can just go play on the corner and rake in like a 50 gold a night or something like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, bard's just a socialite. if you don't have those social butterfly elements, then you're not even a bard. You're just a guy who played some songs that everyone then
You're just
forgot.
a dude that knows Wonderwall.
And then got completely Leroy Jenkins into obscurity.
That is always like one of the things I've heard about tabletop is what you're essentially trying to do is form one functioning adult with all the party members.
Yeah.
So the bard is like I can talk to people and I don't get nervous when I'm on the telephone making appointments. That's bigger.
Well, that's not me. That doesn't describe most people you call bards. We're all socially awkward. Fucking bug men.
All right. Well, anyway, you can join us, as ridiculous as it is, on Saturday. I will be building characters. You can help me out with that. 1 p.m. Eastern, Honey Badger Arcade. So subscribe to Honey Badger Arcade. If you're in the Discord when I go live or when I set up the show, you'll see an announcement for it. And I hope I see you guys there. So we're gonna go into the patron show now and read through this article. But I did get one Rumble rant from OIC, I think is his name. Gives us $1 and says humph women, and it looks like a latte or a coffee or a cappuccino or something.
It's that clip. It's women. Coffee cup, clink.
Yeah, right. Xerax gives us $5 and says the bard has a sword that acts like a truss rod. Mike, thank you, Xerax. We'll see how it goes. He might surprise you. I don't know. I don't know what's gonna happen. Also, I got to figure out what race everyone is gonna be because I don't think they should all be human. So that could be fun too.
I think a gnome for Allison.
A gnome for Allison.
All I know is the bard will be the first to die. I've seen this
dwarf.
Movie.
Yeah, right. or I mean, a dwarf could be good, but we'll see. We'll figure it out. Okay. Anyway, if you guys like this video, please hit like, subscribe if you're not already subscribed, hit the bell for notifications, leave us a comment, let us know what you guys think about what we talked about on the show today, and what race and class do you think Allison is going to be? I don't know how many characters are allowed in a party. I think it's either 4 or 6. I don't know. But I'm at least going to do myself, because I'm playing the fucking game, Allison, Karen, Hannah, and Randomer Cam. And if I have room for more, I'll see, that's 5. If I have room for more, I'll put in one more. I don't know who. So,
and if you made it this far into the show, leave everybody down there at the bottom. Leave everyone tangentially related to HBR. Prim,
who
would they be? What Aiden, race? What
race? What class? Yeah.
What class?
Yeah. Think
favorite weapon.
3.5, right? So because that's kind of what it is. So don't no 5th edition shenanigans. All right. Anyway, let us know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for coming on. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment on the video, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Men's right activists are machines, dude. Okay? They are literal machines. They are talking point machines. They are impossible to fucking deal with, especially if you have like a couple dudes who have good memory on top of that too. Holy shit, you're fucked.